And at number 10, Harry and Meghan are related. This should be taken with a slight grain of salt because at some point, if we go back far enough, we're pretty much all related. So as we know, Meghan was born American, and of course Harry is British, but they still share some DNA. The Daily Mail did a genealogical investigation where it was revealed that Harry and Meghan are cousins dating back to the 15th century. The connection is on Markle's father's side, but of course it's 15 generations back, so there are no real connections still intact, and there's zero chance anyone will be related at family gatherings. And at number 9, always wanted to be famous. An old friend of Meghan's came forward after the engagement claiming that Meghan always wanted to be famous, even since childhood. She not only loved being the center of attention from a young age, she was very calculated in who she spent her time with. Nanaki Pretty told the Daily Mail, quote, "All I can say now is I think that Meghan was calculated, very calculated in the way she handled people and relationships. She is very strategic in the way she cultivates circles of friends." Pretty also claimed that Meghan always wanted to be famous. Royal scholars have pointed out that this trait is a positive for Meghan and Harry's relationship. Apparently most of Harry's other relationships didn't work out because the women he was with did not like all the attention, but clearly this is not an issue for Meghan. Penny Jenner, author of Prince Harry, Brother Soldier's Son, told the Express, quote, "One of the advantages of Meghan is because she's in the public eye, she likes that. The real problem with Harry's girlfriends in the past is that they absolutely hated the media attention that scared them off." And at number 8, Meghan cheated with Harry. After Meghan was confirmed to be dating Prince Harry, it came out that there might have been some overlap between her relationship with Harry and with her ex, who was Canadian chef Corey Vitelio. Before she started dating Harry, Meghan was seen out with the chef on multiple occasions. Nobody thought anything about her past relationship until a fan noticed that Vanity Fair changed the date when Harry and Meghan started dating from May to July of 2016, because apparently she was still with the chef in May. Harry and Meghan first met at the Invictus Games in Toronto, and when Harry asked for her number, the Telegraph reported that she was still with her ex. The Daily Mail actually asked the chef about his split with Meghan, and he claimed that he and Meghan had, quote, parted permanently when Harry came on scene. However, he did somewhat hint that the pair might have been together in some capacity while she still was with Harry. And at number 7, fame changed her. After news broke that Meghan was marrying Harry and would become a princess, many sources came out saying that fame had changed her, and she's all about climbing the social ladder. In December of 2017, news broke that Samantha Markle, who is Meghan's estranged half-sister, was planning a tell-all book about Meghan. In an interview with The Sun, Samantha said, quote, "Hollywood has changed her. I think her ambition is to become a princess." Samantha also complained that Meghan forgot about her after gaining high society status. A source close to the family told E! News that Samantha cannot be trusted. However, Samantha is not the only person who says this about Meghan. Meghan's former best friend, Nanaki Pretty, told the Daily Mail in December of 2017, quote, "There's Meghan before fame and Meghan after fame." And at number 6, chose career over marriage. Before Meghan was known for her role on Suits, she was actually married to a producer named Trevor Engelson for 2 years, before they eventually split. The split was apparently caused because of Meghan's work, and a former friend said that Meghan clearly chose her career and work over her husband. The former friend, who served as a maid of honor at Markle's wedding to Engelson, told the Daily Mail, quote, "It was such a shock when she told me they were getting divorced. Apparently the stress of the long-distance relationship is what caused the main issue. Meghan was living in Canada at the time, filming the show Suits while her husband was in LA. Apparently Engelson was heartbroken over the split and did not see it coming." Halfway at number 5, does not treat animals well. Meghan Markle likes to be known for her humanitarian and social efforts. One thing that Meghan is very proud of is that she adopted 2 dogs from a rescue shelter, but it seems that it was not happily ever after for the 2 puppies. After Meghan became a princess and was set to move to Kensington Palace in 2017, a spokesperson confirmed that Markle's retriever, Bogart, would not join her overseas. Apparently Meghan felt that it was inhumane for the dog to take the long trip, along with the difficult approval process for dogs coming into the country, and Meghan left the dog with one of her friends in LA. Then later in December, Daily Mail reported that her other dog, Guy, broke both of his legs. We're not sure what the circumstances were, but apparently Meghan was, quote, distraught over the accident. And at number 4, Meghan cut off her friends. After Meghan split from her ex-husband, it was said that she spent a lot of time in London. While there, she apparently formed a friendship with local TV personality Lizzie Cundy after attending an event together. Lizzie disclosed that Meghan wanted her to help finding a new man. Apparently Meghan wanted him to be British and famous. In a 2019 tell-all, Cundy wrote about Meghan, quote, "We were having a girly chat and then she said, 'Do you know any famous guys? I'm single and I really love English men.' So I said, we'll go out and find you someone. Apparently Meghan was interested in soccer player Ashley Cole, but it didn't go anywhere. Then Meghan apparently slid into the DMs of X Factor winner Matt Cardle in 2015, but shortly after that Cardle just stopped replying. But apparently after Harry showed some interest in Meghan, Meghan felt she had no need to stay in touch with Lizzie Cundy anymore and basically ghosted her. Apparently Cundy asked Meghan about Harry, then they chatted for a bit, but never saw each other again. Cundy added, quote, "I was literally ghosted by her." And at number 3, the staff hate her. It was reported that while Meghan and Harry were living in the royal palace with the other family members, the staff hated Meghan so much that they started to quit. In October of 2018, a palace aide and assistant named Melissa quit because of, quote, Hurricane Meghan. Apparently Melissa was a longtime aide of the family's and a trusted assistant, but that all changed when Meghan came into the picture and annoyed the staff with her requests. Apparently Meghan adopted a lot of West Coast habits like waking up at 5 a.m. and, quote, bombarding aides with texts. One source told the Mirror, quote, Meghan put a lot of demands on her and it ended up with her in tears. Melissa is a total professional and fantastic at her job, but things came to a head and it was easier for them to both go their separate ways. Apparently Meghan's tension with her staff also caused a rift between Meghan and Kate. Kate apparently called out Meghan for her strict and disrespectful behavior towards the staff. And at number 2, inappropriate requests. On the day of Harry and Meghan's wedding, Meghan wanted everything to be exactly the way she liked it, which is usually what happens for normal weddings. But royal weddings are much different, and most of what happens is passed down for generations and become very strong traditions for the royals. Meghan tried to change a lot of things around for her wedding, which people did not like. One of the most offensive requests was when Meghan asked for air fresheners to be deployed in the chapel where she was to get married. Apparently the smell inside St. George's Chapel was not good enough for her. British insiders stated it does have somewhat of a musty smell, but it is not unpleasant, and it's expected for a building that's been around since 1475. A source said that Meghan wanted the staff to go around with spray guns to make it smell better, but the request was denied. The source said, quote, royal household staff stepped in and told her office politely but firmly that this was the Queen's chapel and it simply wasn't appropriate. I don't believe a request of that nature has ever been made before. And finally at number 1, Meghan knew she wouldn't stay royal. The exit of Harry and Meghan from the royal family was devastating news to many. But after further investigation, it seems that Meghan might have known she was not going to be a royal for long. And she might have even concocted this scheme to get the most amount of press possible, then to leave the royal family and go back to Hollywood, where she's always wanted to be. When it was announced that the royals would be leaving, everyone blamed the decision on Meghan, as she was the only change in the family before Harry's formal exit. British columnists said that they think Meghan did not know the difference between being a celebrity and being a royal. Canadian millionaire Kevin O'Leary even slammed Meghan, saying she was the reason that nobody cares about the couple anymore. Quote, I think Meghan got him into a bad place, and maybe she should do a little soul searching. She knew what she was getting into when she married him. Page 6 also reported that Meghan put some clothes in a storage location in Canada before she got married. She then decided to keep them in Canada, and they were sent to the couple's new Vancouver home after the Megxit announcement. Maybe Meghan left them there because she knew she would be coming back. And at number 10, Piers Morgan. Infamous journalist Piers Morgan might be one of the most outspoken people against Meghan Markle. And there's actually a dating story behind that. It makes the whole thing even more juicy. So apparently Piers asked Meghan out on a date before she was with Harry, of course. And rumor has it that they went out on that date, but Meghan ghosted Piers after. And this could be the real reason that Piers can seem very angry towards Meghan when talking about her. Most recently, after Meghan's explosive interview with Oprah Winfrey, Piers did not hold back, trashing her on Good Morning Britain. And before him and the other hosts could even discuss the topic, he went on raging about how the interview's tarnishing the reputation of Britain around the world and hurting everything the Queen has worked so hard for. He also made a point to say that he does not believe a word that she says, so I mean, clearly he's not a fan. And at number 9, Wendy Williams. Wendy Williams trashes pretty much everyone on her show, so I'm not sure Meghan should take it personally, but for some reason Wendy Williams really hates Meghan Markle and is not afraid to tell the world. When the couple first got together, Wendy said, quote, there's way too much drama with her and that will not work out. Then when the two did get married and Meghan became a royal, Wendy said on her show that Meghan, quote, weaseled her way into that kingdom, also calling her the, quote, Duchess of Malibu. Then when Wendy was talking about the documentary Harry and Meghan: An African Journey, she spoke about how Meghan was warned that she should stay away from Harry, as the tabloids would ruin her whole life, but apparently Meghan didn't believe this. But Wendy didn't buy that and said, quote, "Yes, you did. You knew exactly what you were doing. Please don't try to garner sympathy from us." I guess insinuating that Meghan knew exactly the kind of press craziness that she was getting into. And at number 8, Katie Hopkins. Katie Hopkins is a well-known British writer who has made it very clear that she hates Meghan Markle. She once coined Meghan as the, quote, "American Kate Middleton," and, quote, "a budget princess die with an Oscar-winning innocent face." Hopkins even went on 60 Minutes to talk about Markle, who described her as a, quote, "nobody who, quote, wears bad clothes," plus agrees with some other haters who are calling Meghan a hypocrite. She even once clapped back at a tourist defending Meghan. When the tourist told her, quote, "There's nothing wrong with Meghan," Hopkins replied, quote, "But then there's nothing right with her either." And at number 7, Chrissy Swan. Chrissy Swan is an Australian TV personality that has been outspoken critiquing Meghan Markle. Chrissy first made comments about Meghan on Facebook, following news of the royal engagement between Prince Harry and Meghan. She wrote, quote, "For some reason, I still haven't warmed up to her," adding that she felt Meghan was still acting while she was out with Harry, saying that the humility that she showed was all just an act. While a few people agreed with Swan's opinion, others were mad, calling her a bully and saying that they were, quote, "very disappointed by her comments." And at number 6, Trevor Engelson. So if you don't already know who Trevor Engelson is, he's actually Meghan Markle's first husband. And for the most part, he's actually been pretty respectful to Meghan's privacy and hasn't commented publicly about her. But that doesn't mean that comments he made in private about her haven't been leaked to the public. Royal biographer Andrew Morton is the one that spilled the beans on Engelson's feelings towards Meghan. In his book called Meghan, a Hollywood Princess, the author portrays Trevor's alleged dislike for his ex-wife. In the book, the author reveals that Engelson initially loved being married to Meghan, but later felt like nothing to her, which was confirmed to him when Meghan allegedly mailed her wedding ring back to Trevor out of the blue after 2 years of marriage. Halfway at number 5, Erin Foster. Erin Foster is the daughter of musician David Foster, as well as a writer and performer. She's another person that is known for blasting celebrities online, with Meghan being one of those people. In November of 2017, Erin posted a photo of Meghan from her Deal or No Deal days and captioned it, quote, "never forget," which is definitely some subtle shade. Then, just to make sure her followers would not forget, she posted another picture of Meghan with a briefcase and added an even harsher caption that read, quote, "This briefcase is filled with my plans to be famous." So it's clear that she just thinks Meghan is a clout chaser hungry for fame. And at number 4, Prince Andrew. Now we're getting into some of the people in the royal family who are not too fond of the Duchess. Apparently, a source said that after she got engaged to Prince Harry and went to speak with his family, Prince Andrew was not very kind to her, while Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip were warm and welcoming. The source said that his difference in behavior with Meghan compared to the other royal members was very noticeable. I would assume even to Meghan herself. He definitely did not say or do anything rude. However, we all know that a person's tone can really say so much. And at number 3, Kate Middleton. This one is a little heartbreaking if it's true, but it's widely speculated that Kate Middleton and Meghan do not get along. And these rumors were made worse by Meghan's Oprah interview. But this all could just be speculation from the fans of each of the women, as now that Kate finally has some competition for the love of the people in Meghan, the fans of the two women seem to be battling it out on social media. But it also seems that new info we are learning from the palace is fueling the divide too. Like the fact that Harry and Meghan moved away from William and Kate at one point, or the fact that the brothers' joint staffing agreement was recently ended, with people thinking Meghan is the reason for this new divide between William and Harry. There was even a rumor that Meghan made Kate cry at one point. However, Meghan revealed in the Oprah interview that it was actually the other way around. However, Kate apologized to Meghan, and Meghan seemed to genuinely accept it in the interview. And at number 2, Katy Perry. So this is a random one, but singer Katy Perry threw some serious shade at Meghan's way after her wedding. When the American Idol hosts were all asked about Meghan's dress, Katy replied, quote, "I would have done one more fitting. I'm never not going to tell the truth. One more fitting, but I love you." But that's not all. Perry added on after, quote, Kate won, clearly referring to the fact that Kate had the better dress. But Kate Middleton's Alexander McQueen dress was stunning. I can't even lie about that. And since that was a common sentiment around social media at that time, especially about the dress not being altered properly, most people did agree with Katie. And at number 1, Princess Eugenie. Princess Eugenie is another member of the royal family that many believe does not like Meghan. Apparently, the main reason for the spat is that when Harry and Meghan announced their engagement, Princess Eugenie actually had to push back her own wedding because of it. An insider said the princess was extremely unhappy about having to push back her wedding date due to Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's wedding, as the princess and her fiancé were supposed to get married in September of 2018, but were forced to postpone it because of the royal wedding. Princess Eugenie also reportedly hated Meghan for choosing St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle for their wedding venue, since it was Princess Eugenie who wanted that venue first. She did get married shortly after, but obviously her event was very overshadowed.
10. Lack of preparation. In her explosive new interview with Alison P. Davis from Cut magazine, Meghan Markle reiterated that she knew very little about royal life when she got into a relationship with Harry, and even joked about the fact that she hadn't even seen the Julia Stiles movie, The Prince and Me, which would have been a similar story of a normal girl marrying a prince. She said, "That would have been really helpful. That would have been a very key tutorial to have had in advance of all this," adding that she's good at taking direction. Quote, "I was an actress. My entire job was tell me where to stand, tell me what to say, tell me how to say it, tell me what to wear and I'll do it. And I'll show up early and I'll probably bake something for the crew." But the notion that Meghan knew nothing of Prince Harry or the royal family before she met him is a story that she clearly intends on circulating. "Thank God I didn't know a lot about the family. Thank God I hadn't researched. I would have been so in my head about it." There's no doubt that it must have been a nerve-wracking experience, but the reality is most people would at least Google a public figure before meeting them. Number 9. Return to Instagram. Meghan revealed that she was initially indecisive about her potential return to social media, as she was very used to sharing so much of her life online before she wed Harry, saying it was a really big adjustment, a huge adjustment to go from that kind of autonomy to a different life. She then talked about what it was like using the royals' Instagram and called it a largely censored experience, and one that was heavily influenced by the British media. Quote, "There's literally a structure by which if you want to release photos of your child as a member of the family, you have to first give them to the Royal Rota, the UK media pool. Why would I give the very people that are calling my children the N-word a photo of my child before I can share it with the people that love my child? You tell me how that makes sense and then I'll play that game." Now the Duchess says that she's caught between wanting to create a personal account again and wishing to keep her private life private. But one thing's for sure, she is definitely getting back on the gram. It's probably the platform she's missed the most, considering that she's a millennial after all. Number 8. Nelson Mandela comparison. This was easily one of the most contentious parts of the interview, the moment where Meghan compared herself to Nelson Mandela. Yes, the legendary activist and first president of South Africa, who spent 27 years in prison for opposing apartheid. During the interview, Meghan recounted a trip to the 2019 London premiere of the live-action version of The Lion King. She said, "I just had Archie. It was a cruel chapter. I was scared to go out." She said it was then that a cast member from South Africa pulled her aside at the premiere and said, "When you married into this family, we rejoiced in the streets the same way we did when Mandela was freed from prison." Although she claims it was the dancer who first made the comparison, the Duchess was quick to receive all kinds of backlash just for putting it out there. In fact, Nelson Mandela's grandson, Mandela, was one of the first people to slam the remarks. He said, "It can never be compared to the celebration of someone's wedding. Madiba's celebration was based on overcoming 350 years of colonialism, with 60 years of a brutal apartheid regime in South Africa." So it's clear that Meghan's choice to even put that in the interview came off as a little tone deaf. Number 7. Million-dollar deals. One of the things that Meghan has always been known for is her very American work ethic, as she seems to actually enjoy juggling it all and filling her schedule to the brim. In fact, it was one of the reasons why life as a royal did not mesh so well with her. In her new interview, she details her various exploits after leaving the firm, which includes podcasting and multiple Netflix ventures. She also brought up the family's new 3-tier company, Archwell, that was launched in October of 2020, mostly as a way to make some cash following the infamous Megxit. Although the company has not released very much in the way of concrete content, it was revealed that Harry and Meghan managed to score a whopping $25 million Spotify deal and $100 million Netflix deal for their work. But the only thing we've seen from them so far is the first episode of her new podcast Archetypes, which was released by Spotify this month. Although it initially looked promising, Archetypes has been torn to shreds by critics, with one review saying that the episode makes you feel like you've been locked in a relaxation room of a wellness spa with an unusually self-involved yoga instructor. Which is pretty harsh, so it's probably best that you watch it and decide for yourself. Number 6. Renovation Controversy. Everyone knows that the British tabloids were particularly vicious towards Meghan while she lived with Harry at Frogmore Cottage in Windsor. Meghan opened up about the criticism they received surrounding the expensive home renovation and said, "Just by existing, we were upsetting the dynamic of the hierarchy. So we go, okay fine, let's get out of here, happy to. But for whatever reason, it's not something that we were allowed to do, even though several other members of the family do the exact same thing." One of the main things that they were accused of was using exorbitant amounts of taxpayer funds to renovate the home, but they eventually repaid it all and even offered to earn their own money on behalf of the monarchy, which made it virtually impossible for the media to criticize them under the guise of public interest. In fact, it was recently reported that Harry repaid $3.2 million in British taxpayer money that was used to renovate the home in Windsor. Not only that, but it has been widely noted that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex are not listed as having benefited from any UK tax funds at all since 2020. On the other hand, the royal family as a whole has cost the UK roughly $124 million this year alone. So make of that what you will. Number 5. Meghan's father. Easily the most interesting part of the interview came about when Meghan brought up her father. The Duchess spoke candidly about her estranged relationship with Thomas Markle and his tendency to leak information about her to the press. She explained that toxic tabloid culture has torn two families apart. Quote, "Harry said to me, I lost my dad in this process. It doesn't have to be the same for them as it was for me, but that's his decision." While she didn't stay on the subject for very long, readers have grabbed onto her words and taken it as a confirmation of a major rift between Prince Harry and his father, Prince Charles. But it was interesting that Meghan took the time to even mention her own father, considering that they were estranged even before her 2018 wedding to Prince Harry. Not to mention the ultimate betrayal that she would have felt when just 2 days before the wedding, Thomas gave an interview to TMZ claiming that he decided not to attend Meghan and Harry's wedding in order to avoid causing his daughter any further embarrassment. He also conspired with a photographer to pose for a series of staged paparazzi photos in order to make a quick buck. So he's not exactly father of the year. Number 4. Harry's revelation. In his most frank interview since quitting their roles, Prince Harry has told the magazine that many of his family members cannot work and live together in the way that he and his wife can. If you didn't pick up on the subtle diss, the article also refers to him as saying the word family with a vocal eye roll. When Davies pointed out that the two of them share a single desk in their home office, Harry said, "Most people that I know and many of my family, they aren't able to work and live together. It's actually really weird because it seems like a lot of pressure, but it just feels natural and normal." This is not the first time that the prince has hinted at a certain tension between himself and his family, as a 37-year-old has previously said that his father stopped taking his calls after he and Meghan stepped back as senior working royals in 2020. So it's apparent that the rift between Harry and his family is worse than ever before, which is certainly sad because it seems like he's unable to separate the people from the firm and has ruined several relationships in the process of becoming independent from the royals. Number 3. $1 million mansion. Speaking of her home, the couple spent almost $15 million on their Montecito mansion, which is where they moved in secret in July of 2020, just a few months after officially stepping down as working royals. When gushing about their 9-bedroom California home, Meghan said, "We did everything we could to get this house, because you walk in and go joy and exhale and calm. It's healing. You feel free." Despite some pipes that needed fixing, the Duchess called the mansion their safe space, as it is apparently a coastal peace den that evokes images of a Napa vineyard. But here's where it starts to sound a little pretentious. Meghan explained that on the lawn there are 2 massive palm trees that represent her and her husband, always connected and supportive of each other. Not only that, but Davies goes on to describe 2 plush club chairs in their living room that are placed side by side to resemble thrones. So it's clear that they wanted their home to still look rather regal. But beyond its gobsmacking price, their decision to live next to US television royalty like Oprah Winfrey and Ellen DeGeneres was certainly a good move, because Harry and Meghan have made it pretty obvious that they intend to return to the limelight, but this time they're aiming for Hollywood. Number 2. Fighting the firm. Apart from the explosive allegations of racism made in Meghan Markle's interview with Oprah, the Duchess has now revealed that she also fought the firm to stay in the royal family. In fact, she revealed that she and Harry didn't initially want to leave the royal family, but instead wanted to continue their work as royals without using taxpayer funding. They wanted to be completely financially independent, and also asked to leave the UK and relocate to another Commonwealth country like Canada or South Africa. Quote, that for whatever reason is not something that we were allowed to do, even though several other members of the family do that exact same thing. Why their request was denied, Meghan ultimately said that she did not know, but Davies wrote in her article that Meghan's knowing gaze seemed to suggest that she had a lot more to say on this, even though she chose not to. But interestingly enough, the Duchess revealed that she was not made to sign anything that would have prohibited her from speaking about her time as a royal, and insisted that she can talk about her whole experience, but is still in the healing process and has chosen not to. And coming in at number 1, forgiveness. The question on everyone's mind as they approached the conclusion of the article was undoubtedly, where does she stand with the royal family now? Meghan arguably left a small yet visible suggestion at the possibility of forgiveness. She said she believed forgiveness to be of vital importance, and something that's far easier to do than holding on to resentment. Quote, I think forgiveness is really important. It takes a lot more energy not to forgive, but it takes a lot of effort to forgive. I've really made an active effort, especially knowing that I can say anything. But it might be too little too late, as Meghan has already given that explosive interview with Oprah in 2020, accusing the British monarchy of racism against their unborn child, and claiming members of the royal family had openly expressed concerns about how dark her son Archie's skin would be. She also exposed the complicated dynamics between her and the Duchess of Cambridge, and painted her in a pretty negative light. So with all things said and done, the new interview didn't do much in the way of damage control, so the possibility of family unity seemed to be a little bit out the window.
At number 10 we have Samantha Cohen. The private secretary to Meghan Markle and Prince Harry said the couple was so difficult and disorderly that it was like working for a couple of teenagers. In a book called The Hidden Power Behind the Crown, highlights how the Duchess of Sussex was once extremely rude while criticizing a plan drawn up by the young female employee in front of other colleagues. William later tried to console the staff and said she was doing a good job. The book also mentioned how the couple bullied Samantha Cohen, who was formerly the Queen's private secretary. However, Samantha joined Harry and Meghan as their interim private secretary after the two got married. The book quoted a source that said nothing Samantha ever did for the couple was good enough. They were impossible and pushed her to her limits. She was miserable. However, the Duchess's lawyers denied in 2021 that Miss Cohen had been bullied, and the couple was always grateful for her support. Number 9, we have Melissa, who was actually Meghan's private secretary. In December of 2018, Meghan lost one of her key staff members. This ignited speculation that the actress was allegedly difficult to work for. Melissa, 39, was Markle's personal assistant for just 6 months. The two clashed over free gifts, including clothes, jewelry, and candles that some companies had sent the Duchess. Melissa followed the rules that royal members cannot accept gifts from commercial organizations, but it claims her approach of handling this rule did not go down with Meghan well. In June of that year, it is said that Buckingham Palace effectively was able to bury a report that outlined allegations of bullying done by the Duchess of Sussex. And the royal aides announced in March that year prior that they were launching an inquiry into Meghan's behavior with staff. If you're enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Number 8, we have Wendy Williams. Wendy Williams once addressed to the press saying, "Nobody feels sorry for Meghan Markle." The statement comes after Wendy Williams said that Meghan's friends tried to warn her not to marry Prince Harry. She went on to say, "You know what I'm saying? Like, you meet a prince and your friend's going to tell you not to marry him." Or, Meghan's lying to get sympathy. The host then went on to say in a clip from a documentary, Harry and Meghan, an African journey, that showed Meghan claiming that she didn't get it when her friends warned her about the British media fixation. Williams went on to say, "Yes, you did. You knew exactly what you were doing, and please don't try to garner any sympathy from us. You knew what you were doing." The Ask Wendy author assured her audience that she really does like Meghan and Harry, but there's something about the Duchess of Sussex
and she shouldn't be surprised that the paparazzi are everywhere now that she's a royal. They were not following you when you were on Suits. We didn't even know who you are, except when you came for an employment here at Windy and wanted to be one of our runway models. She then ended the show by saying you knew exactly what you were signing up for, girl. Number 7. Katie Hopkins. It's the scandal the whole world would be talking about. And Katie Hopkins wasn't shy when it came to her opinion on Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's decision to step down as senior members of the royal family. On the night of Kate Middleton's birthday, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex released a statement confirming their intentions to effectively quit royal duties. Adding that they hope to become financially independent, they went on to say, after many months of reflection and internal discussions, we have chosen to make the transition this year and to start carving out progressive new role within this institution. We intend to step back as senior members of the royal family and to work financially independent while continuing to fully support Her Majesty the Queen. Katie Hopkins then came out to say where it all went wrong with Meghan on an episode aired on Channel 9's 60 Minutes. In the show, Katie explains Meghan is one of the most stuck-up people in England and that she always wears bad clothes. Katie then added Meghan is one of the biggest hypocrites there is. While a fan on the show went to say that there's nothing wrong with Meghan, Katie responded by saying there's nothing right about her either. Number 6. Erin Foster. Making a living making fun of celebrities on her Instagram page, Erin Foster is no stranger when it comes to sharing her opinions about Meghan Markle. In November 2017, Erin posted an old photo of Meghan back in her days on the television show Deal or No Deal. Erin posted the photo with a caption that said never forget, but the post did not end there. Erin posted another picture of the Duchess wearing a little dress holding a briefcase, and she captioned the photo, "This briefcase is filled with my plans to be famous." It's no secret that Erin loves to hate on women, so she continued to spend her day arguing with people in the comments who were calling her mean and tone deaf about the post. Many were quick to point out the post seemed personal and that the two must have known each other personally. Number 5. Chrissy Swan. Australian TV personality, radio host, and author Chrissy Swan in December of 2017 said she hasn't warmed to Prince Harry or his fiancée Meghan Markle. On a Facebook post, Chrissy said that the Duchess is not at all who she appears to be, and she believes the former actress is just acting humble. She's also not the only person who has suggested this narrative, as American TV personality has indicated that Meghan is an opportunist and wouldn't fit in with the royal family. When Chrissy was asked why she had not warmed up to the actress, Chrissy was pressed to elaborate on why she had the feeling she did. She responded by saying it was all because of her manner. She looks like she's portraying a conceited humility of acting. Meghan definitely is going to need some ice for that burn, but it leaves you wondering, is this truly all an act? Or is Meghan telling the truth about how the royal family really is with her? Number 4. Trevor Eagleston. Ex-husband of Meghan Markle, Trevor Eagleston, has pretty much remained silent about his marriage to the retired actress. However, in a royal biography, Andrew Morton hasn't. In a book Andrew wrote titled Meghan, a Hollywood Princess, he highlights that Trevor was full of hatred when it came to the Duchess, and in one chapter he wrote Trevor went on from cherishing Meghan, and it would deserve his feeling was like he was a piece of something stuck to the bottom of her shoe. The author then went to write, while Meghan was filming Suits in Canada, she ended her relationship with Trevor by mailing back his wedding ring to him. Shortly after, Meghan claimed that she was married to the Hollywood producer. She felt like she didn't always act as if he supported her acting career. A close friend of the two then said Trevor didn't like the dynamic change and he wanted to be the breadwinner and didn't want to share the spotlight. However, Trevor's uncle would then later come out to defend the allegations and would say that's not who his nephew really is. But it's definitely to say we won't be seeing these two work together on sets anytime soon. Number 3, we have Amy Schumer. Amy Schumer once said that Meghan Markle was her nemesis and even explained why in a super hilarious way. Even though the stars aren't actually feuding, it's still worth mentioning the gag of jokes Amy made throughout her pregnancy. Amy first teased her pregnancy with a picture of her head photoshopped over a picture of Meghan Markle's body. The comedian said it's not fun to be pregnant at the same time as the Duchess of Sussex. With the two having very close due dates, they were expected to be delivering their babies by spring in 2019. So Amy confirmed that she would be competing with the royal mom-to-be. Amy definitely wasn't kidding when she brought up Meghan again during a comedy show in November. Amy went on to say, "You know what's not fun? Being pregnant at the same time as Meghan Markle. She's walking around in heels and cradling a baby that's not there." Amy then went on to say because the star was pregnant at the time, she was making Meghan her nemesis because she wasn't going to let her get away with that. While Meghan was out wearing heels, Amy was barely able to put on her flat. It's still worth mentioning that even though Amy is feuding with Markle in a hilarious way, watching her poke a little fun at this running gag was definitely a welcoming distraction to the star to feel better about her own pregnancy blues. Number 2, Daniel Radcliffe. Harry Potter star Daniel Radcliffe hasn't been scared to portray his thoughts on the royal family over the years. He's definitely not a fan. Daniel's comments, especially when it comes to Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, have definitely managed to raise some eyebrows, especially when it came to his sarcastic comments he made about the British monarchy back in 2009. During his interview with Daily Beast, Daniel made it clear he wasn't a fan of the royal family by saying he's not a royalist, not at all, and he doesn't see the use of monarchy, though he is a fierce patriot. Radcliffe then went on to note that he's very proud to be English and he thinks the family symbolizes what is wrong with the country. He did go on to say that he doesn't think the family's done anything wrong, but he simply doesn't like what they represent. He noted that the royal family shows a huge symbol when it comes to class division, and it's something he particularly didn't like. While Daniel did admit he totally sympathizes with Meghan because of her harsh treatment she's gotten from the press, you probably won't see these two working together considering Daniel's opinions with the royal family and what they stand for. Number 1, Kate Middleton. With everything going on in the royal family's lives, one aspect of the personal lives that has been an ongoing scandal for the last year, it's no secret people love to read about that alleged rift between Meghan Markle and Kate Middleton. The media continues to keep us up to date with the latest rifts between the two. While the media does tend to blow things out of proportions, the two have had their fair share of minor disagreements, and one actually made Kate cry. Meghan and Harry's wedding back in May of 2018 was definitely a wedding that wasn't without drama. As it was reported, Meghan and Kate had a disagreement about the Flower Girl's outfit. The feud over the dress was so tense, it had Kate in tears over the stressful fitting for her daughter. A source reveals that it was an extremely hot day and there'd been a row over whether the bridesmaid should wear tights. Kate, following the royal family protocol, felt like they should wear tights while Meghan didn't want them to. At the time, Kate was feeling emotional considering she did just give birth. However, before this incident, the two are to be said to have many rifts, and because of these rifts, you definitely won't catch these two in the same room alone.
First up, Richard Williams. Since the infamous Will Smith slap, many critics have stated that Will was selfish for taking the spotlight of Richard Williams, the man Smith portrayed in the film King Richard, as it was the night to honor Richard and his family. While the man himself has finally weighed in, and it seems that in the nicest way possible, he does not condone what happened at the Oscars. His son spoke to NBC News on behalf of 80-year-old Williams, saying, quote, "We don't know all the details of what happened, but we don't condone anyone hitting anyone unless it's in self-defense." Williams' son states that his father was shocked when Smith got up and suddenly slapped Chris Rock for making a joke about his wife Jada Pinkett Smith. Williams declined to say any more than that simple statement, although many were hoping Richards would comment on the comparison that Will Smith made to Richard Williams during his Oscars acceptance speech. Next up, Rose Rock. Chris Rock's mother, Rose Rock, has finally broken her silence on the slap during an interview with a local South Carolina TV station. Rock sat down with South Carolina News WIS-TV and shared her thoughts on what went down at the Oscars. Rock said, quote, "You reacted to your wife giving you the side eye, and you went and made her day because she was mulled over laughing when it happened." Rose shared that initially she thought the incident was staged or some sort of joke, but after Will began cussing about his wife, she knew it was real. Rock added, quote, "When he slapped Chris, he slapped all of us. He really slapped me, because when you hurt my child, you hurt me." When talking about the apology that later took place during Smith's acceptance speech, Rock said, quote, "No one heard his speech. No one was able to just be in the moment because everyone was sitting there like, what just happened?" The Oscars. After the infamous slap, the Oscars was put on the defensive, being forced to explain what happened and why Will Smith was not kicked out of the show after his insane behavior. Days after the ceremony, the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences, which runs the Oscars, said in a statement, quote, "Mr. Smith was asked to leave the ceremony and refused." However, this information has been debated, as a source told NBC News that while the higher-ups at the Oscars were debating what to do, one of the show's producers told Will to stay. However, a source at the show told NBC News that the official decision came from one of the show's producers. Days after this information came to light, the Oscars also announced their official decision on how to punish Smith for his actions. After deliberation, the Academy decided to ban the actor from attending the award show for 10 years. Smith, who resigned from the Academy last week, replied soon after in a statement saying, quote, "I accept and respect the Academy's decision." The official statement from the Academy said, quote, "The 94th Oscars were meant to be a celebration of the many individuals in our community who did incredible work this past year. However, those moments were overshadowed by the unacceptable and harmful behavior we saw Mr. Smith exhibit on stage. During our telecast, we did not adequately address the situation in the room. For this, we are sorry." As for the decision, they said, quote, "The board has decided for a period of 10 years from April 8th of 2022, Mr. Smith shall not be permitted to attend any Academy events or programs, in person or virtually, including but not limited to the Academy Awards." Next up, Alexis Arquette. Late actress Alexis Arquette came forward in 2016 with a huge secret. She claimed that Will cheated on his first wife, Cherie Zampino, with a man, and that's why the relationship ended. Arquette claimed that Jada is a beard for Will, and that's why they have an open relationship where Jada is allowed to sleep with other men. Arquette even claimed that Smith paid off Zampino after she caught him in bed with another man. Arquette claimed that Will was sleeping with Benny Medina, who is a well-known talent manager to stars like Jennifer Lopez and Mariah Carey. Arquette claimed that Will was doing everything possible to hide his sexuality, recalling an incident where Will refused to kiss Anthony Rapp on the set of 6 Degrees of Separation. In the end, the camera angle was changed so that the non-existent kiss was not viewed on camera. Arquette finished the Facebook post claiming she was angry that Will was hiding his true identity, adding, quote, "Gays have enemies. They lurk in gilded closets. Outing is healthy. You're either with us or against us. You decide today." And this is not the only time a rumor like this has come to light. In 2012, it was rumored that Will and Jada were headed for a divorce after she felt that he was a little more than friends with actor Dwayne Martin. Supposedly, they were spotted looking very close, even in restaurants together. Vitaly Siduk. Little known fact is that the Oscars was not the first time that Will Smith has smacked a man in public at an award show event. Vitaly Siduk interviewed Will on a red carpet almost a decade ago, and after they had a negative interaction, Will smacked him in the face as well. While being interviewed, the pair hugged, and when Siduk went to kiss him on the cheek, Will freaked out and backhanded him on the face. Although many felt this move was justified at the time, it shows that Will's first reaction in a negative situation is violence. The incident took place at the Moscow opening of Men in Black 3 in May of 2012, while Siduk was working for a Ukrainian television station. After the incident with Chris Rock, Siduk stated, quote, "I just immediately recollected the slapping incident in Moscow. I think the joke was inappropriate when it comes to someone's health, but Will's reaction is unnecessary and sends the wrong message to comedians being hit for a joke." Adding, quote, "I don't want to call Will Smith uncontrollable. He has a violent temper, yes, but I'm sure he realizes what he is doing." Siduk acknowledged that it was a bad joke and he understands why he was protecting his family, however it shows that violence is always his first instinct. Jeanette Hubert. Jeanette Hubert, the actress who played Aunt Viv on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air for the first 3 seasons, reportedly hates the cast, specifically Will Smith. She also dislikes his entire family and thinks they should get over themselves, saying once, quote, "You're not kings and queens, you're not royalty, you're simply entertainers." After portraying Aunt Vivian for 3 seasons, she decided to leave after contract negotiations went south. A feud between Hubert, Will Smith, and network officials was reportedly to blame. At the time she left, Will Smith said, quote, "I can say straight up that Jeanette Hubert wanted the show to be the Aunt Viv of Bel-Air show." Hubert responded by stating that Will Smith was unwilling to help her and would not elevate any other cast members during salary negotiations with NBC, saying at the time, quote, "We thought your influence would help us greatly, like they did on Friends." On Friends, the entire cast band together to ensure they all got an equal raise. However, at the time, Will felt he was better than his other castmates and claimed, quote, "My deal is my deal, and y'all's deal is y'all's deal." Years later in 2011, when there were talks of a reunion, she claimed there would never be a reunion because Smith is a, quote, "a-hole." When a photo of an apparent reunion was posted by Alfonso Ribeiro, aka Carlton, Hubert slammed it, calling Alfonso a media hoe and adding she will never participate because, quote, "I have no interest in seeing any of these people on that kind of level." Trey Smith. When speaking of the Smith family, most people only think about Will, Jada, and their kids Willow and Jaden. However, there's another son in the mix, Trey. Trey is a child from Will's first marriage to Cherie Zampino back in the early 1990s. Back then, Will was adamant on having a family and making them his first priority, but they decided to divorce after Will realized he was not able to love Zampino the way he wanted to. After Will married Jada and had kids with him, those two kids became his top priority, and he stopped spending time with Trey, causing Trey to feel, quote, "betrayed and abandoned" while growing up. Zampino once revealed that Trey would confide in her and admitted that when he was a kid, he did not feel loved by his father. However, thankfully things have changed with time, and Trey is a visible part of the Smith family now, even attending movie premieres with the rest of Will's kids. Will himself revealed in a past Instagram video that his son, quote, "felt betrayed and abandoned by him, but they are now restoring and recovering the relationship." First up, of course, we have Chris Rock. The person who has shown the world the true dynamic of the Smith family is definitely Chris Rock. After Will smacked Chris on stage at the Oscars, the world got to see a different side of Will, and it was shocking. While comedian Chris Rock was speaking to the crowd and taking some dig at the celebrities in the audience, Rock decided to take a jab at Jada Pinkett Smith, and I'm sure you know what happens next. Chris said, quote, "Jada, love you, G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it," referencing her almost bald head, because in the movie G.I. Jane, the lead actress Demi Moore had a shaved head. Jada has been open about her struggle with alopecia, and that's why she shaved her head that night. Immediately after the joke, Will Smith decided to get up, interrupt the broadcast, and slap Chris Rock in the face for millions to see. Chris looked stunned and was not sure exactly how to respond. Will then walked back to his seat and yelled, quote, "Shut your mouth, keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth," twice. After the slap, Rock looked completely stunned, having no idea what to do or say. It looked like he was about to clap back and say another harsh joke about Will or his family, but Rock took the high road and decided to stay calm. The internet was set ablaze by the slap, with many not even sure if it was real or just staged for publicity. But considering the aftermath, it was clearly real. Although many pointed out that Will actually laughed at the joke moments before deciding to get up and slap Chris Rock. After this event, many are accusing Jada of wearing the pants in their relationship and manipulating Will to do her dirty work for her. There is a chance that he was simply defending his wife, but many believe that Will knew that if he didn't do something to avenge her honor in that moment, Will would have been in trouble. Even though the event was said to be the biggest night of Will Smith's life, which definitely it was, just not in the way that he wanted. Next up, August Alsina. After the infamous Oscars slap, old reports that Jada had cheated on Will in the past resurfaced. The pair have spoken about how they are in an open marriage, so we are not sure if it was really cheating or not, but Jada admitted she was in a, quote, "entanglement" with rapper August Alsina during a break with her husband. During the Red Table Talk segment where they spoke of the affair, Will looked visibly angry about the situation and pushed Jada to confirm that she did have a relationship with August. After admitting to cheating, she did not apologize or even seem remorseful. She instead deflected, saying, quote, "I was in a lot of pain, I was very broken," saying she only wanted to help August, but it turned into a relationship. Alsina had been introduced to Jada by her son Jaden at a London music festival in 2015. Insiders stated that August became like a member of their family, even going on vacations with them and staying in their mansion. August is 21 years younger than Jada, and he claimed that Smith had actually given his blessing to have an affair with his wife, an allegation that Jada has denied. Will also reported that he had affairs with other women during this time. He was rumored to have slept with co-star Margot Robbie. Many believe that Will's insane reaction to the joke is proof that he is in a toxic relationship with his wife, because he completely embarrassed himself on the biggest night of his life, all because of a bad joke. Even though it doesn't seem like Jada is ashamed of anything she did, it is strange that she tried to deny it, then downplayed it when she could not brush it off anymore. And without August coming forward, we would have never known about their strange relationship. Margot Robbie. Jada most likely hates actress Margot Robbie because it was rumored that Margot and Will had an affair while they were filming the movie Focus. But that's not all. Jada has also admitted that she has a bias against white women with blonde hair, which we assume attributed to this dislike. In 2018, Jada made headlines when she admitted on Red Table Talk that she has a racial bias, specifically admitting that she has a problem with blonde white women, saying on the episode, quote, "I do have my own biases, specifically with blonde women. Blonde hair on white women just triggers me, and I've had to catch myself." Pinkett Smith even admitted that she's second-guessed doing interviews with blonde women in the past because they remind her of the type of kids who used to tease her in school. But Jada has worked hard to fix this bias and even admitted that white women still do face oppression based on their gender, making it easier to relate to them. Next up, Cherie Zampino. Cherie Zampino was married to Will Smith before he and Jada got married. The shady part is that Will and Jada started dating before he and Cherie were officially divorced. Jada's mother, Adrienne Banfield Jones, dished on Access, quote, "I think initially when Will first called you, I think he was still married or he was just separated, and I was like, he's not available to you." Jada added that Will was div, but the orst didn't happen yet. But Jada later admitted that when she learned things were not finalized, she should have backed off. To make matters worse, Jada has claimed on multiple occasions that she never even wanted to marry Will. She only decided to go forward with it because she was pregnant. Her mother and Will thought that starting a family was the best idea, and Jada reluctantly agreed. Later, the couple agreed to an open marriage. Scientology connections. After the Chris Rock incident, some started connecting the dots between the bizarre slap and Scientology. This is because the Smiths have been tied to Scientology in the past, and physical punishment is a popular teaching in the church. Apparently, it's a common teaching in Scientology to use slaps and other forms of physical force to show other Scientologists that they've done something wrong. After the slap, one user tweeted, quote, "There's a Scientology course, I guess you'd call it, that involves slapping or physically humiliating fellow Scientologists in a group setting as a means of exerting superiority. It's remarkably common within the cult." The user even shared that Tom Cruise is known to use similar styles of punishment, but instead of hitting, he uses shouting to intimidate movie crews. Although the Smiths have denied being involved with Scientology, the connection is pretty hard to deny. The couple were apparently introduced to the church by none other than Tom Cruise back in 2004. They got so involved with it that the Smith family spent almost $1 million in 2008 to set up a school for the church. The Smiths said they designed the curriculum in the school, but insiders claimed it was based on Scientology. Both Jaden and Willow attended, but the school closed 6 years later when most of the parents removed their children. Tony Ortega, an expert in Scientology, said that the Smiths left Scientology in 2015 and that Will at least only ever dabbled in it. However, he says that Jada was a full-fledged member and apparently everyone knows it. Next up, William Hendricks. The Oscars was the first time that many Will Smith fans saw him get violent. But to people like William Hendricks, his hot temper is well known. In 1989, Smith spent a night in jail after he hurt a man named William Hendricks so badly that Hendricks almost lost his sight. Even more coincidental, this incident happened days after Will won his first Grammy. I guess he likes to get into altercations around awards season. The charges were later dropped against Will. Will Smith was 20 years old at the time, and after getting in a verbal argument with the producer, decided to make things physical. As per a police report, Smith asked his bodyguard, Charles Alston, to quote attack record promoter William Hendricks, who needed 6 stitches after he fractured his left eye orbit during the altercation. Next up, Sony executives. One of the strangest things about the Smith family is the couple's relationship to their children. The Smiths have been open that they don't use punishment when dealing with their kids, and they pretty much let them do whatever they want. But this parenting style may have backfired, because it's common talk in the industry that Willow and Jaden are entitled brats that nobody wants to work with. Because of their parents, the kids have auditioned for many big roles in the past, but only Jaden has landed roles alongside his father. It was exposed that Sony executives have exchanged emails saying not to allow the Smith kids in their movies. As a response to this, Will shrugged and noted how, quote, everyone disses his kids. Some of this might stem from the differences between Will and Jada and how much fame they want their kids to have. Sources say that Will wants to push his kids to fame much more than Jada wants to, leading to a clear difference in parenting. Considering Will admits to being responsible for their kids' erratic behavior, it's not far-fetched to think that there's a clear difference in what both parents want for their children.
Number 10. Against discipline. Smith's unusual parenting style has raised eyebrows over the years, but he and his wife faced backlash in April 2013 when he revealed that they didn't believe in punishing their 2 younger children, Willow and Jaden. Will told Metro UK, quote, "We don't do punishment. The way that we deal with our kids is they are responsible for their lives. Our concept is, as young as possible, give them as much control over their lives as possible." And when talking about the concept of punishment, they believe it has too much of a negative quality. Basically, their whole parenting philosophy is that they don't believe in disciplining their kids. But criticism of their parenting style really exploded in 2014 when 13-year-old Willow was photographed in bed with a 20-year-old actor laying down right beside her. The whole thing even led to an investigation by Child Protective Services. In an interview with BBC Radio a couple of years later, after the initial drama, Will actually admitted that he and Jada may have gone a bit too far in their hands-off approach, and perhaps should have kept a tighter rein on Jaden and Willow. Regardless of whether you think the Smiths were wrong in their parenting approach or not, there's no denying that it led to two incredibly creative individuals. Number 9. Wanting multiple girlfriends. While the Smiths are no longer trying to hide how they feel about open relationships, many people have actually taken more offense to Will's misogynistic comments about women, specifically when he admitted in a 2021 GQ profile that his fantasy was to have, quote, a harem of girlfriends. He proceeded to name Halle Berry and ballet dancer Misty Copeland as two women that he would invite to be in it. Then, under the direction of an intimacy coach that he had at the time, he researched them and even made plans to contact them. Quote, the idea of traveling with 20 women that I loved and took care of and all that, it seemed like a really great idea. Obviously, he never acted on the impulse, eventually realizing that it wouldn't be fun at all in reality. He apparently came to the conclusion that it would be horrific, and it would in fact make him miserable. Can't really argue with that one, but it might have been a good idea to keep that fantasy hidden. Number 8. The entanglement. Musician August Alsina brought the Smiths' relationship into the spotlight in July of 2020, when he revealed that he was romantically involved with Jada, and Will knew about it the whole time. He had even given them his blessing. Although Jada initially denied the claims, she eventually confessed to being in an entanglement with August when she and her husband were separated. Quote, we decided we were going to separate for a period of time, and you go figure out how to make yourself happy, and I'll figure out how to make myself happy, Smith said during an appearance on the Red Table Talk in July of 2020. They both went on the talk show together, and in a heartbreaking episode, Jada told Will how she came to be romantically involved with August, and how he made her feel special because of what they were lacking in their relationship at the time. Will took the whole thing like a champ, but the clip went viral online because he looked like he was on the verge of tears the whole time that Jada was talking. Looking back on that moment now, it almost hurts to watch. Number 7. Strange beliefs. Jaden and Willow Smith have long been open about their bizarre opinions, but all of their insane comments have mostly been swept under the rug over the years. The siblings have also come out and labeled themselves as indigo children, who are believed to possess special, unusual, and supernatural traits that was popularized in the 70s. One of the most unforgettable interviews was done by T Magazine in 2014, who felt that their sibling dynamic would make them just the right people to talk about all those classic teenage topics such as quantum physics, prana energy, and the lucid, often elusive nature of temporal interpretation. Jaden said, quote, here's the deal, school is not authentic because it ends. It's not true, it's not real. Our learning will never end. And that kids who go to normal school are so teenagery and so angsty. He went on to say that you never learn anything in school. Think about how many car accidents happen every day. Quote, driver's ed? What's up with that? I still haven't been to driver's ed because everybody I know has been in an accident, and I can't see how driver's ed is really helping them out. I mean, we could break that down even more, but I don't really see the point. It's just funny because you know he was completely serious when he said it. Number 6. Hating on Aunt Viv. One of the most controversial opinions that Will has had is that of Janet Hubert, who played Aunt Viv on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. When she left the sitcom due to creative differences in 1993, Will slammed his former co-star during a radio interview. All I can say is straight up that Janet Hubert wanted the show to be the Aunt Viv of Bel-Air show. He also said that she told him, quote, I've been in the business for 10 years and this snotty-nosed punk comes along and gets a show. Those comments marked the start of what would eventually become a 30-year feud. Janet claimed that Will spread lies about her behavior on set because he knew the audience was mostly on her side. It wasn't until the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion special in 2020 that Will even acknowledged that he had made the set difficult for Janet during the 3rd season. It was a really sad moment because she admitted that the rumors Will started had cost her everything, including her career and her reputation, saying, quote, calling a black woman and difficult in Hollywood is the kiss of death. Will only realized his mistake much too late and said that after having 3 kids, he's learned some things he did not know at the time, and he would do things differently with Janet had he gotten another chance. Number 5. Secret third child. Not everyone knows that Will actually has a third child from his first marriage to Cherie Zampino. Trey Smith, who is now 29 years old, mostly lived with his mother following his parents' divorce in 1995, and so that's why he's still relatively unknown. But Trey has actually struggled quite a bit compared to his half-siblings. In a 2018 Instagram post, Trey said that he felt betrayed and abandoned for a long time after his parents' divorce, and even Will admitted that he and his eldest child struggled for years to develop a good father-son relationship because he basically made a whole new family and moved on without Trey. The truth is, his father's total absence from his day-to-day life was quite hard on him growing up, and Will has also said that he regrets how neglected Trey felt. In fact, they have only recently been back on good terms, and the actor said that he and his firstborn son have slowly started growing and healing, overcoming their past trauma, even posting on Instagram in 2018, quote, "It is a wild blessing to recover and restore a loving relationship with my beautiful son." Number 4. How they met. The couple often paint their love story as one for the ages, but they definitely tried to gloss over the fact that their relationship began when Will was technically married to his first wife, Cherie. In fact, Jada let this information slip voluntarily in a 2018 interview with Access, admitting that when Will first reached out to her, he wasn't exactly fully free to do so. Quote, "He was just separated," and then went on to say that the divorce had not even happened yet. The couple has maintained that they weren't physically involved until the divorce was finalized, but many fans believe Will's heart had certainly strayed well before he made any move to end things with Cherie. During a sit-down interview on Red Table Talk, Will actually said that at a certain point in his first marriage, quote, "I had a realization that I wasn't with the person I was supposed to be with," but maintained that he didn't want to get divorced. He kind of admitted that instead of being honest with his wife right away, he just lost feelings for her and kept it private. But in the end, his ex-wife was the bigger person and ended up asking for the divorce, which allowed him to publicly date Jada right after the papers were signed. Number 3. Nepotism. The Smith family are undeniably a very tight-knit unit, collaborating on so many projects together throughout their careers. Some critics have accused the patriarch of nepotism, and they may have a point. It's pretty easy to see why. Just glancing through Jaden Smith's IMDb page, you can actually see that most of the movies he starred in were produced by one of his parents. The accusations were so intense that in Will's memoir, he opened up about casting The Pursuit of Happiness, saying that the studio actually didn't want to cast Jaden because it would seem like nepotism, and that would just ruin the credibility of the film from the get-go. But even though the studio was hesitant, the concerns didn't keep the Smiths from pushing for Jaden to get the part, and eventually they had their way. Don't get me wrong, the movie was great, but fans could not ignore the clear favoritism that was happening behind the scenes. Many people even called out his acting abilities in After Earth, which completely bombed at the box office, and Will even called it the most painful failure of his career. Number 2. Open marriages. Will and Jada have been shutting down rumors for literally decades, from claims that they're in an open relationship and speculation that they're swingers, to reports that Jada even cheated on Will with Mark Anthony. During an interview with GQ in 2021, Smith finally revealed that he and his wife haven't always been monogamous. Quote, "Jada never believed in conventional marriage," and went on to say that Jada had family members that had an unconventional relationship. So she grew up in a way that was very different to how he grew up. He hinted that both parties had taken advantage of the trust and freedom in their relationship in their own way. Will admitted that for a large part of their relationship, monogamy was what they chose, but it's clear that somewhere down the line they decided to stray from that traditional dynamic. In fact, Will was rumored to be hooking up with Margot Robbie on the set of their film Focus in 2013, after photos were leaked of the pair joking around and getting very close in front of the camera in a photo booth. But Margot was quick to deny everything on Twitter. Quote, "There's absolutely no truth to the ridiculous matter. It's disappointing that goofing around on set could be taken so out of context. Well, people really do jump to conclusions. And coming in at number 1, ties to Scientology. While the couple have never confirmed their religious affiliation, the Smith family has long been rumored to be members of the controversial Church of Scientology. Smith told Men's Vogue in May 2011, quote, "I've studied Buddhism and Hinduism and I've studied Scientology with Tom Cruise, and nobody's saying anything different." His comments obviously earned a great deal of backlash, especially when he claimed 98% of the principles are identical to the principles in the Bible. But then in October 2018, he declared that his family have never been Scientologists. To confuse matters even more, many of the Smiths' movies reportedly contain Scientology references and themes. In 2013, Vulture even called his sci-fi flick, After Earth, that he did with Jaden a love letter to Scientology. Not to mention the fact that in 2007, Will and Jada donated over $122,000 to the church. The truth is, we may never know whether the family are members of the religious movement or not, but the fact that the famous family hasn't condemned Scientology is already a major problem for some fans, especially as more and more disturbing allegations are continuing to come out about the church in recent years. 10. Wave of accusations. Will Smith shocked fans, viewers, and Chris Rock when he walked onto the stage at the 2022 Academy Awards and slapped the comedian across the face, then casually just walked right back to his seat. The incident occurred while Rock was introducing the award for Best Documentary and joked about Jada Pinkett Smith's haircut. It was then that Smith silently got up on stage, walked over to Rock, and slapped him across the face on live television. The shocking moment has not only got him banned from the Oscars for 10 years, but has already cost Smith several projects, which have either been cancelled altogether or shelved in the fallout from the infamous slap. Apple is reportedly delaying the release of Smith's much-awaited film Emancipation to 2023 following the incident. Netflix also canned the sequel to Smith's 2017 action film Bright, although they claim the cancellation was unrelated to the slap. And there are many additional projects that Smith had lined up that have been totally smacked down, leading him to reportedly have an emergency meeting with his agent to develop a strategy combating the wave of cancellations. Number 9. Early damage control. In what seemed like his very first attempt at damage control, Will Smith gave a teary apology during his acceptance speech at the 2022 Oscars, not long after the infamous Chris Rock slap occurred. Quote, "I want to apologize to all my fellow nominees. This is a beautiful moment and I'm not crying for winning an award." Smith took home Best Actor for his role in King Richard, but because of the crazy events that had just transpired on stage, it looked like the actor was already trying to get himself out of hot water by saying that art imitates life and that he looked like a crazy father, just like they said about Richard Williams. But love will make you do crazy things. The first-time Oscar winner could barely get out his words as he held back tears, which would have otherwise been very touching if you forget the fact that he violently attacked Chris Rock and humiliated him in front of millions of people. The 53-year-old tried to downplay the incident by thanking the Academy and saying that he hopes to be invited back to the Oscars, but the only person he didn't apologize to was Chris Rock. Number 8. Willow's post. Several days after the attack, the whole Smith family was silent, and it looked like no one was willing to speak on the incident publicly, until Willow Smith shared some cryptic tweets almost a week after her father's resignation from the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. After the notorious slap incident, fans were rightfully on the edge of their seats, waiting to see if his kids agreed with his actions. But Willow instead chose to get very philosophical and tweeted, quote, "The meaning of life is found in challenge, and life is a series of reactions." But just when it looked like she was on the fence, she also posted a quote on her Instagram story that said, "You know who's going through a lot right now? Literally everyone. Just be kind." While the post came only a few days after the Oscars slap, she did not really make a correlation to the incident, but instead just implied that her father was going through a lot. It was probably a good move considering the extreme backlash that Smith was receiving, which he still hasn't managed to come back from even now. Number 7. Jaden's tweet. The 23-year-old was a lot more upfront when it came to rushing to his father's defense, tweeting, "And that's how we do it." Shortly after the slap, the rapper and actor chimed in after the eventful night for his parents at the 94th Academy Awards, being sure to show his support for Smith's actions, who was supposedly trying to defend his mother, Jada Pinkett Smith. Not only that, but in another tweet which Jaden posted shortly after the Oscars ended, he shared a photo of himself wearing sunglasses, looking very dazed in the backseat of a car, writing, quote, "My dad's speech made me cry." The photo got retweeted more than 42,000 times and was met with mostly negative responses from social media users, some alleging that the star was a hypocrite because earlier that month he tweeted, "Praying for peace in the world." Some users mocked his tweet by using his own past comments against him, saying that he should instead be talking about the political and economic state of the world right now. You gotta give them points for that. Number 6, the public apology. Fortunately, Smith did end up issuing what seemed like a real public apology to Chris Rock, starting the Instagram post off by saying, "Violence in all of its forms is poisonous and destructive." The Oscar winner wrote this after he had some time to reflect on the incident, a full day after the ceremony where he won Best Actor for playing Venus and Serena Williams' father. Quote, "My behavior at last night's Academy Awards was unacceptable and inexcusable." He went on to say that jokes at his own expense are a part of the job, but a joke about Jada's medical condition was too much for him to bear and he reacted emotionally. He also admitted that slapping his longtime friend and comedian was way out of line and simply wrong. Smith said that he was embarrassed about his actions and said sorry to the Academy, the Oscar producers, and everyone in attendance, everyone watching from home. Although the apology seemed genuine, Smith still seemed to justify his actions in the post, and the backlash against him only intensified. It clearly didn't work out because not long after, the Academy announced that the actor was banned from attending the award show for the next 10 years. Number 5, red table talk. Almost 2 months after Will struck the comedian in the face at the Academy Awards, Jada Pinkett Smith addressed the incident on her talk show, The Red Table Talk. At the beginning of the episode, Jada said into the camera, quote, "About Oscar night, my deepest hope is that these two intelligent, capable men have an opportunity to heal, talk this out, and reconcile." She then went on to say, "With the state of the world today, we need them both, and we all need one another more than ever." She spoke about how her family will come back from the incident, explaining that they will continue to do what they have always done for the past 28 years, and that's to keep figuring out this thing called life together. She decided not to mention it further, but going on family talk shows to clear the air might have brought them even more bad publicity, as everyone remembers the famous episode where Jada admitted to cheating on Will and being caught in an entanglement with a much younger man. Will looked absolutely defeated and on the verge of tears the whole time, which spawned a million memes as we know it. It was a complete disaster that turned many fans against Jada. Number 4, Summerfest dropouts. Summerfest lost a second headliner as the festival announced that Willow will no longer be performing at this year's big gig. The 21-year-old was set to take the Power stage on the 30th of June. But in a Facebook post, Summerfest announced that Willow will not be performing, and instead singers Gail and Nessa Barrett will replace her. What's really interesting is that she's actually the second headliner to drop out at this year's festival. Last week, Justin Bieber postponed his 2022 Summerfest show due to facial paralysis from Ramsay Hunt syndrome, and coincidentally, Jaden Smith was set to open for him that very same night. But with Bieber dropping out, so did Jaden. The performances at Summerfest would have been a great chance for the Smiths to come back from all the controversy that's rocked their family over the past few months, so it's a shame that they both dropped out given everything that's been going on. Number 3, new memoir. This might be one of the only ways for the now disgraced actor to restore his reputation. Will Smith reportedly isn't going to hold back when it comes to telling his story in his new memoir. In his deeply personal and vulnerable book, simply called Will, the Academy Award-nominated actor details his life both in and out of the spotlight, from his early rap career in Philadelphia to his troubled relationship with his violent father. With the help of author Mark Manson, who wrote the very popular book The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F, Smith reflects on the pivotal highlights of his impressive career, such as meeting Nelson Mandela and being selected by Steven Spielberg to star in the insanely popular sci-fi film Men in Black. The memoir will also share his lowest moments as a celebrity, a father, a son, and a husband. The book is introduced with the quote, "My father gave me my name, he gave me his name, and he gave me my greatest advantage in life, my ability to weather adversity." The book is supposed to be a very heartwarming read that provides a glimpse of the actor's real-life insecurities and trauma. Number 2, Willow's single. The 21-year-old is certainly a star in her own right when it comes to her music, and a great host on the Red Table Talk with her mum and grandmother. After being so quiet on social media, it looks like Willow's music career is finally starting up again, and she is well and truly ready for her family to make their comeback. When she shared the preview of her latest single, It's My Fault, she was seen in tears while the intro of the song was played. Many fans were quick to comment on the post after she had taken an extended break from posting online. Overall, her fans made it clear that they were glad she's back and still making music. Her tunes will no doubt have been a positive distraction to the star during the last few months, which has seen her family make waves in the spotlight and plenty of negative headlines all round. And coming in at number 1, I Am Legend. It's been revealed that Smith is planning to star in a sequel to one of his most iconic movies, I Am Legend. Speaking to The Sun, an industry insider revealed that Smith has been in talks to reprise his role as the scientist Robert Neville, whom he starred in the 2007 original film, which was a complete box office hit, making almost $600 million. The script is still being written at the moment, and sources close to the project revealed that the concept is still to be signed off by Warner Brothers, but there has been no indication that Will has been kicked off. The insider added, quote, "The reality is that Will make a comeback at some point, and it will simply be down to which studio will be the one to take a chance on him," and added that Warner Brothers Studios have not ruled out Smith returning to the movie franchise at all. In fact, according to The Sun, the negative sentiments from the public about his career have certainly reduced in recent weeks, as the world has totally moved on. This might actually be the case, and if Smith ends up taking the project on, then this could well and truly mark a comeback for the Smith family. Number 10, germaphobe. While speaking to Jonathan Ross in a 2015 interview, Priscilla Presley revealed that her late ex-husband was terrified of germs and would take his phobia to the extreme. She claimed that he even refused to use anyone else's silverware, which even included the ones at high-end restaurants. She said that because of his secret germophobia, he never liked to go to other people's homes to eat because he would have to take his own silverware, and that would often cause quite an uncomfortable situation, as you could imagine. Quote, "And he didn't like drinking out of cups that other people had drunk out of, even restaurants or other people's homes. So when he drank, he would drink where the handle was, knowing that no one would ever drink at that side." Although this information is not widely known, Priscilla says Elvis has been that way ever since he was a child. She believed that he just didn't like to put his mouth where other people had put their mouth, especially with cutlery and dishes, which is definitely something most people wouldn't have known about the star. Number 9, liked younger women. In her book Elvis and Me, Priscilla Presley wrote that she just turned 14 when she met Elvis Presley, who was 24 years old at the time and already an international superstar. Despite the scandal, they started an intimate courtship that lasted 7 years before they eventually married in 1967. Now, the age difference is creepy on its own, but it becomes even creepier when you compare that to what Linda Thompson wrote in her own memoir. Thompson, who dated Elvis after his marriage to Priscilla ended, was also very young and inexperienced at the time. In fact, he allegedly told her, quote, "I want to preserve you for as long as you need." Whatever he meant by that, it just sounds super icky. Elvis reportedly took advantage of his power to manipulate young, impressionable fans whenever he went on tour. Joel Williamson, who wrote a historical book about Elvis, claimed that 2 years before he met his future wife, the star took a group of 3 girls with him on tour for the purpose of, quote, "pillow fights, tickling, and cuddling." Number 8, his vanity. Fame is a terrible drug that often pushes stars into the oddest methods of trying to stay thin and beautiful. Linda Thompson wrote in her memoir that Elvis's obsession with being slim would drive him to bizarre measures to keep the weight off, including an alleged 2-week period of sedation. That's exactly what it sounds like. Elvis mainly slept all day except for brief periods where he woke up long enough to go to the bathroom and eat a small portion of food before being sedated again and going back to sleep. She also claimed that he regularly did crash diets on just 500 calories a day. She also exposed his secret about why he constantly wore shirts with high collars. Apparently, he did it to conceal his neck, which he actually hated. She wrote that the whole reason he wore the trademark style was to keep his, quote, skinny little chicken neck hidden from the public. Then at age 40, Elvis allegedly opted for a facelift. Quote, there has been speculation through the years that Elvis has his eyes done or some other mystery procedure, but that mini facelift was the extent of his plastic surgery. Well, it seems like his ex-wife was really intent on revealing a side of him that was incredibly vain. Number 7. Pet chimpanzee. This one is really messed up. Billy Smith, who was a member of Elvis's entourage, openly talked about how Scatter, Elvis's pet chimpanzee, was essentially used as a party favor that they trained to harass women. It said that the chimp would often look for women at parties and grab onto their clothes. According to Smith, Scatter also drank heavily. Quote, he could down a fifth of liquor before you knew it. Smith remembered another time when Scatter was beaten by a woman at a party for misbehaving. There have been conflicting reports about what really happened to the chimp. Some state that he merely lost his life due to old age, but Smith speculated that Scatter was poisoned by one of the maids who was tasked with feeding him after he was abandoned by Elvis and the crew who were out on the road. Although it's unclear exactly how he passed, it appears as though Scatter took his last breath on his own after years of living the party lifestyle. The whole thing was really rather sad, as it seemed like Elvis and his friends used the chimp just to entertain themselves and discarded him when they went on tour. Number 6. Attacked his fiancée. After Linda Thompson, Elvis briefly dated Mindy Miller before becoming involved with Ginger Alden, who was a full 20 years younger than him. It was only 2 months into their relationship when Elvis proposed to her and she accepted. The couple planned to walk down the aisle just a few months before Elvis's untimely death, and Alden even said how excited he was about their wedding and their future together as a couple. She revealed to Express that during his final days, quote, Elvis was looking forward to many things: marriage, more children, serious films, and his next tour. But Elvis was reportedly very manipulative when it came to women and could be extremely jealous and controlling. According to sources close to the star at the time, he could get very violent. His treatment of her was horrifying, and the pair constantly argued during their time together. After one particular fight, he allegedly asked someone in his entourage to pop the tires on Alden's car so she couldn't leave his home. And on another occasion, when she was driving away after an argument, Elvis reportedly aimed his weapon at her car and fired. Number 5. Allegations of racism. Last year, Quincy Jones revealed to The Hollywood Reporter that he always refused to work with Elvis because he was a racist. The musician, best known for producing Michael Jackson's albums Thriller, Off the Wall, and Bad, made the comments about Elvis's supposed history of racism in his new interview. The outlet asked Jones about Presley after the producer compared Jackson to the king of rock and roll. The 88-year-old musician and producer described a time when he was writing for the orchestra leader Tommy Dorsey in the 50s, and Elvis came in saying, quote, I don't want to play with him. Jones went on to call Elvis a racist and added, quote, but every time I saw Elvis, he was being coached by Otis Blackwell, telling him how to sing. And while there wasn't an overwhelming amount of accusations surrounding Elvis's past racism, there are certainly many allegations against the icon for appropriating black culture and repackaging it to the general public as his own. Despite this, it's obvious that American society still allowed him to have a very successful career, whether it was something the late singer did consciously or subconsciously. Number 4. Hidden children. Even though he has been gone for many years, Elvis Presley has always been the center of several new scandals and controversies. One of the many that have hit the headlines in the last few years is that the king of rock and roll supposedly kept hidden children from the rest of the world. The National Enquirer actually conducted a 2-year investigation into the hidden children of the Presley family, reportedly acquiring witness testimonies, checking receipts, mail correspondence, birth certificates, and even DNA tests. The result of the investigation allegedly proves that Elvis did have several additional children that were being kept away from the spotlight of Hollywood. In fact, multiple alleged mothers of Elvis's hidden children have come forward to tell their stories about how they met the star, and the stories have some strange similarities. celebrities. One example is Desiree Romaine Presley, who is the daughter of Lucy DeBarban, and she claims that her mother was in a 24-year-long relationship with Elvis and was being kept away from the media. But the crazy thing is that Desiree's father is listed as Randolph Presley on her birth certificate, someone who allegedly worked at the Air Force Base in Oklahoma City. Number 3. Addicted to medication. It's not unheard of for celebrities to turn to substances as a way to cope with fame and just how crazy their lives become in the spotlight. But Elvis's alleged addictions could have had a very different origin when you look at the tragedy of his mother's passing. In 1958, he was drafted into the US Army, but went to Germany but had to return to the US less than 6 months later because of his mother's untimely death. Many people believe that this marked the beginning of the end for Elvis, who quickly headed down a path of self-destruction. As soon as he returned to Germany, it's reported that Elvis partied heavily and would often get into fights. During this time, he also started taking illegal substances to try and deal with the grief of losing his mother. This probably snowballed, and it's assumed that from that moment on, the misuse of substances played a major role in his life. Linda Thompson wrote several examples in her memoir about these incidents and says that she often found Elvis passed out in a bowl of chicken noodle soup under the influence of sedatives. She even says that doctors tried to hospitalize him for 2 weeks after misusing a combination of medication for far too long. Number 2. Why Priscilla ended things. Because she was only 14 years old when their courtship began, it's really no surprise that she missed out on a huge chunk of her adolescence. She told Jonathan Ross in 2015, quote, "I was kind of lost, really, in who I was earlier in my life. I really didn't have teenage years." After their first child, Lisa Marie, was born, Priscilla accused Elvis of not wanting to sleep with her after she had given birth. Elvis told her that he wanted her to recover, but Priscilla later wrote in her memoir that he had mentioned before they were married that he had never been able to make love with a woman who'd had a child. In fact, throughout their marriage, Elvis continued to cheat on Priscilla with other women, and she herself had her own affair with an owner of a dance studio. It's safe to say that their marriage never really recovered. They finalized their divorce in 1973, and she said that this was because her life was his life, which meant her problems were always going to be secondary. Years later, she admitted that she did not divorce him because she didn't love him, but because she had to find out about the world. She was clearly just way too young when they started seeing each other. Number 1. Erratic violence. In recent years, Linda Thompson has been pretty open about her time with Elvis Presley, stating, quote, "We all knew how dangerous Elvis's rage could be. Apparently, when she first noticed Elvis could get pretty angry was when someone reportedly stole personal photos of one of his ex-girlfriends with another woman. She claimed that he then decided to show off his samurai sword collection while under the influence of illegal substances and left her fearing for her life. Although she said that he was true to his word and he didn't in fact hurt her, she was concerned because his talents were entirely impaired due to the narcotics. These were just some of the several times that his ex said that she worried about his boiling rage. Apparently, the musician even invested in a concealed carry permit to take the weapons on stage with him, including several that were actually stuffed into his shoes, just in case someone got a little bit too rowdy in the crowd. Even singer Tom Jones spoke about Elvis's love of weapons during a visit to his dressing room. Tom said that he noticed a loaded weapon just sat on the side and simply handed it to Elvis by wrapping it in a towel. Sounds a little crazy to me.
Coming in number 10, The Secret Gift. When Elvis Presley passed away on August 16, 1977, the world was in shock. Elvis' daughter Lisa was in the next room when her father passed away. Just being 9 years old at the time, the future singer was perhaps more overwhelmed than anyone else. Knowing that she couldn't just send her father off in a coffin without something special from her, she decided to place a special gift inside his coffin. While thousands of fans queued up to pay their final respects to Elvis, just before the doors opened to the venue, Priscilla and Lisa Marie would be escorted to where her father was laying. While the king was styled to look his best, looking upon her father for the final time, Lisa Marie would make one special request. Funeral director Robert Kendall recalled that Lisa asked him if he could give her gift to her father. Robert recalls that she held up this thin metal bracelet and that he agreed once her and Priscilla ensured it would not fall into the wrong hands. With thousands of fans outside, they feared someone would see the loose bangle on Elvis's wrist and take it as a souvenir, so Priscilla and Robert placed it on Elvis's wrist and tucked it underneath his shirt cuff to ensure no one would be able to take this precious gift given to him by Lisa Marie. Number 9. The Empty Seat. Lisa Marie spent many of her days at Graceland as it was her home and heart of Elvis Presley, and she loved the mansion so much because it immortalized the rock and roll legend. Lisa made no secret of her love of the special residential property that she was reared in and still called home. The late star was lent on the mountain of memories from her childhood to keep the Presley family traditions alive, and that's why she still visited the luxury property regularly to do things Elvis and her used to do. After being open to the public in 1982 and becoming the second most visited private house in America, it became hard for so many to believe that the inner workings of the house still functioned, but Lisa Marie ran a tight ship after inheriting her father's estate. While the kitchen appliances were said to still work, they would be turned off for fire safety, and when Lisa Marie and her family were there, the staff would fire them up so the family could have dinner in the mansion. When the tours wrapped up, Lisa Marie and her loved ones could clamor around the huge dining table for family dinners, and they would occasionally leave an empty seat on the end in honor of Elvis. It was almost like she hoped her dad would walk in through the doors and take a seat at the table. But Lisa Marie's favorite excuse to get together was the Thanksgiving holiday, so she could be with her nearest and dearest father. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming in at number 8, we have the upstairs room. For millions of fans who flock each year to Elvis Presley's Graceland estate, the home has become a place where they can truly get close to the king of rock and roll. However, Graceland was also a private home for Lisa Marie and her extended family. This is why the upstairs rooms remained off limits to tours of the house, which began in 1983. Lisa Marie will also admit that the upstairs rooms has this creepy shrine to a bygone era when her father was still alive. While all the rooms remained the same as Elvis had left them, Lisa would show off the upstairs rooms, including Graceland's secret room that holds a treasure trove of items. And the location of this exact room still remains a secret to the public. Behind the door that's marked employees only lies a room that no Graceland guest can visit. While the room is so secret, when Oprah's camera crew was allowed to tour the estate, they would have to turn off the camera until they were inside so no one would know the exact location. Inside the room lies treasures that have never been seen by the public. The room was made to be earthquake-proof, fire-proof, and tornado-proof. Items in the room include checks signed by the king of rock and roll, a majority of Elvis's costumes, and cabinets that housed over 60,000 photographs. Number 7. Struggles. Nearly 5 months after her passing, Lisa Marie Presley shared an essay she wrote about navigating grief following the heartbreaking passing of her son, Benjamin. Sources close to the star would exclusively tell the US Sun that the musician was leading a reclusive life and was struggling in the wake of her son's passing. Lisa struggled to find respite from the pain of losing Benjamin, and she found it really difficult to cope with, and this is why she barely left the house for months after his passing. While Lisa Marie looked for various ways to help her manage her feelings of grief and loss, she even started to go in and out of the Church of Scientology for many years as she was trying to find herself a new purpose. In spite of this, those close to her had concerns, and one insider even confessed that Lisa had been struggling so much over the years and living in her dad's shadow. Many who knew her feared that she would pass away at a young age. Lisa is said to have had a lot on her plate in the years and months ahead of her passing, and she was struggling personally with her family relationships and handling her exes. Number 6. Isolation. Due to Lisa Marie's personal struggles, she spent her final days on trying trek between Los Angeles and Graceland. A source close to the family echoed that by saying Presley, who lived most of her life in the limelight, had been living a reclusive life and had especially struggled since her 27-year-old son Benjamin passed away in 2020. In Lisa Marie's final years, she was racked with grief over Ben, as he was her baby and he relied on her so heavily. So after she found out that he had passed away, her whole world completely fell apart and she found it really difficult to cope with, so she spent most of her days in isolation. Despite her personal struggles, Lisa Marie always tried to keep in good spirits, at least when she did venture into the public. And her final speech at Graceland would prompt fans to erupt in applause. While Lisa would also address her grief in an essay for People, she would say, "Grief does not stop or go away in any sense, a year or years after the loss. Grief is something you have to carry with you for the rest of your life, in spite of what certain people or culture wants us to believe." Lisa was struggling and never wanted to admit it, but her heart had been shattered since losing her son, and the grief took a huge toll on her. Number 5. Priscilla Presley. Lisa Marie had mended her relationship with her mom Priscilla Presley after her son's devastating passing despite years of prior estrangement. It's said that Lisa Marie had a really rocky relationship with Priscilla due to her troubles and breakdown of her marriage to Michael Lockwood. But They became close again after Ben's passing, and Priscilla supported her as much as she could. During Lisa Marie's divorce with Lockwood, Priscilla chose to stand by him, which caused a lot of friction between the mother and daughter duo. During this time, Priscilla was only able to find comfort from her friends as the relationship between her and Lisa fell apart and she was at loss over what to do at the time. While Lisa filed for divorce in 2016 and claimed she found images of younger people on Michael's computer during the divorce after losing her husband and mother, Lisa would turn to substances to numb the pain. While Michael denied the allegations, it would lead to a messy court and custody battle, and while Lisa needed her mom the most, she knew that her mom was on her ex-husband's side and that she couldn't turn to her for help. With only Lisa knowing what was truly on that computer, she never really detailed the things she actually found on that computer to the public. Number 4, the alarming red carpet appearance. Extra host Billy Bush did the final Golden Globes red carpet review of Lisa Marie Presley and immediately realized that something was amiss. Just 2 days before her passing, Lisa Marie would walk the red carpet at the Golden Globes. She attended to support the Elvis biopic of her father. Since Bush has recalled his brief red carpet talk with an ashen and unsteady Lisa Marie by saying she was very uneven in her balance. The speech was very slow, and definitely when the interview was over, I turned to my producer next to me and said, "Something's off here." She was certainly with it, just a second slow, but she was there. She was definitely there, just a tad off in some way. For the interview, stars had to navigate 2 steps to the platform where he stood, but Presley was struggling to do so, so Bush went down and met the star on the red carpet itself. Also, there's been videos at the event that show her walking unsteadily and being escorted by her manager, who grabbed her arm to give her support. It's clear that something was going on with the star and she didn't want to talk about it. Number 3, the safe place. Much has been said about the secrets that lie within Elvis Presley's Graceland bedroom. The private sanctuary has remained off limits to the public since his passing. However, during an interview in 2013, Lisa Marie spilled secrets about the room, and she would say Elvis Presley's bedroom was one of the places she would feel the safest. It said that Lisa would always keep a key for the upstairs with her and go up there, and up there was just Elvis in her bedroom. While the rooms are said to be a sanctuary, she always felt like she could shut the door and feel the safest and calmest. This is why she kept the area the same as Elvis has left it. The area still having a lot of Elvis's flair for the flamboyant and reflected the decorating taste of the 1970s. The king of rock and roll, only child admitted, oh, it's showy. It's got a long shag carpet, a black bed, and red walls, gold, everything here and there. Number 2, the friendship with the Duchess of York. Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York, penned a touching tribute to Lisa Marie Presley after the singer passed away on Thursday, revealing their surprising friendship. Sarah would say, "I say hello to you every day and I love you, my sissy, and I will continue to say hello to you every day. You were my sissy, an amazing mother to Ben, Riley, Harper, and Finley, and a superbly loving daughter to Priscilla. You have been my devoted friend for many years, and I am here for your family to support and love them. I am deeply saddened, my sissy. You are in my heart." A close friend to Prince Andrew's ex-wife told Page 6 that the two women originally met when Lisa was living in Sussex, England with her ex-husband Michael Lockwood back in 2010. Apparently they hit it off straight away and that they just seemed to understand each other. Over the years, the pair became quite close and kept in touch when Lisa moved back to the States. Lisa was always really supportive of the Duchess and when she was going through tough times, and Lisa even offered her refuge in Hawaii to weather out the storm. The Duchess was never able to forget that, and Lisa even went out of her way to support her friend, and that the two actually really bonded as sisters. And coming at number 1 today, we have The Secret Job. Although Lisa was a singer and songwriter that spent most of her life in her home country of America, the daughter of Elvis also called Sussex home for a while. While she also laddered herself a very different type of job when compared to her usual career, as she was actually working in a fish and chip van in the village despite owning a 15th century grade 2 listed country mansion. It appears that Lisa wanted to get stuck in with the village life and thought the best way she could do that was to serve the locals. The van was apparently owned by local pub owners Kim and Justin Scales, and it was a job that Lisa reportedly loved doing. Back in 2012, Kim would say that the singer could not wait to don an apron and serve people, and she found it really amusing when people did not know it was her. Although being the daughter of one of the most iconic singers in the world, Lisa wanted to be fully integrated in the life in Sussex Village, and she really enjoyed her shift. Coming at number 10, we have her rocky relationship with Lisa Marie Presley. While the world has begun reeling in the aftermath of Lisa Marie Presley's tragic passing, many have begun to ask questions about her family life. In particular, it seems like people are increasingly curious about what her relationship with Priscilla Presley was like. While the two were thick as thieves before Lisa's passing, the two faced their fair share of ups and downs. It's said that Lisa Marie had a very rocky relationship with Priscilla due to her troubles and breakdown of her relationship with Michael Lockwood. The pair was sadly only able to repair their relationship after Lisa Marie's son passed away on July 12, 2020. But before, it seems like Lisa Marie's estrangement to her mother would come when she decided to divorce Michael Lockwood, and her mother, Priscilla, actually chose to stand by him even after Lisa Marie claimed to have found illegal videos and photos of on Michael Lockwood's computer. While sources say Priscilla had to be comforted by her friends as her relationship between her and Lisa fell apart, this is when she felt lost over what to do at the time. But she would have never had a rocky relationship with Lisa if she just chose to stand by her daughter like a mother should always do. Number 9. Her love for Elvis Presley. When Elvis Presley broke up with his wife Priscilla Presley in 1973, the couple remained really close until his passing, and later Priscilla Presley would admit that she never stopped loving him even after he passed away unexpectedly just years after their divorce. And even his passing made her realize that she didn't want to live in a world without him. It's even been said that after their divorce, the pair actually walked out of the courthouse holding hands. Priscilla and Elvis would split after his substance abuse and affairs got way too out of hand, but their relationship kept intact, and they still spoke to one another frequently. To this day, Priscilla's love for Elvis is so strong that she can't even be in the same room as Elvis impersonators when they are dressed up as the star, as it's too hard for her. Back in 2014, when Priscilla Presley was set to attend Elvis Festival in Collingwood, Ontario, she agreed to do the event, but there was one huge rule for the festival that they would have to follow in order to have her attend, and this rule would be that Elvis impersonators couldn't be in the same room as her. However, when one did come into the event not dressed up as Elvis, as he was following the rules, Priscilla would be left feeling very emotional as he reminded her of Elvis, and she would even praise the festival for keeping Elvis's story alive. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Number 8. Her life at 14. Elvis and Priscilla's relationship was much darker than what even some of the biggest fans may have realized. Even those who already casually knew that Priscilla was quite young when she met Elvis may still don't know what the pair's relationship was like when they began their courtship. Priscilla was only 14 years old and Elvis was 24, and the details of their courtship may not be front of mind. Written in Priscilla Presley's own words for People in 1985, the specific story on how the king of rock and roll met and wooed his only wife may be hard for some fans to stomach. Priscilla and Elvis met back in 1959 when her family settled in a small town in Germany, and Priscilla was invited to a party by a family friend. It would be at this party she would meet Elvis and tell him that she was in the 9th grade. It would be at this moment that he would tell her she was just a baby. However, a few nights later, he would tell Priscilla that he wanted to be alone with her and asked her to come to his bedroom. While the two would spend the night together, they would end up seeing each other for months, and they would continue to spend every night together, which proved to be too much for the student as her grades would start to slip. While Priscilla claimed that they never made love, her parents became very confused and bewildered about her relationship with Elvis, and it took a lot for them to prove that it was proper and platonic. At number 7, experimenting with substances. After Priscilla met Elvis when he was stationed in Germany on military service, she described how they had a very passionate relationship, so when he was discharged and set to return home, Priscilla did everything she could to persuade her parents to let her go to America. Her parents would then only agree when she agreed that she would live in a separate property and go to school. While Priscilla did go to school, she spent all of her free time day and night at Graceland. In a powerful interview with Barbara Walters in 1985, Priscilla would recall the intense and strange world she lived in with Elvis as a young teenager. Priscilla would stay up late every night, and every morning Priscilla would get up for high school, and then when she arrived home in the afternoon, she would crawl back in bed with Elvis. Eventually, after Priscilla's grades started to slip, she had to start taking sleeping medication to help her sleep. Priscilla felt like she had to make things work with Elvis because she was scared that if she didn't do it, another other woman would, and she wanted to be the one. She would even bring up a horrifying moment when Elvis gave her 2 strong medications to help her sleep, and that even when she was unconscious, Elvis didn't call a doctor because he didn't realize that she's never taken them before and gave her too much of a strong dose, even after she was passed out for 2 days. As Elvis's behavior became more extreme, the couple would spend days in bed. Number 6, homewrecker. Since Elvis was 24 years old and a famous worldwide performer, it's probably not too much of a surprise that Elvis was in a relationship with someone else when he met Priscilla. Before there was Priscilla, Elvis was actually dating actress Anita Wood, who he began dating in 1957, and the relationship was actually pretty serious. When Anita did an interview with the Daily Express, she would say, "He swore he loved me, how we would get married, how there was no one else, how I need to stay true to him and remain and wait for him, how he was afraid I would not." Anita would also say that she wasn't allowed to visit Elvis while he was in Germany, and that the two were still together when Elvis returned to the United States in 1960. By then, Anita already started to hear the rumors about Priscilla, and that Elvis was constantly telling her that it was nothing to be worried about. Anita would then eventually confront Elvis about the nature of his relationship with Priscilla, and the singer asked her to keep Priscilla a secret because he believed he would get in a lot of trouble over his relationship with the young girl. While Anita would go on to date Presley for 2 more years, he would have Priscilla flown out to the States and he would begin dating both women. When Anita found out that Elvis was having a hard time making up his mind about the 2 women, Anita would overhear the conversation Elvis was having with his father, and she would make the decision to leave the star. Number 5, living doll. When Elvis Presley started dating Priscilla Presley when she was just 14 years old, as the relationship started to grow, the king of rock and roll would start to dictate how she had to dress and told her that she didn't need an education. While Priscilla did everything she could to be with Elvis, she felt like she was his living doll while she was living with him in Graceland, away from her family. While Priscilla went on to lose her identity throughout the relationship with Elvis, she would also lose her individuality. Later in life, Priscilla would call herself Elvis's doll, his own living doll to fashion as he pleased. In an interview with Express, she would also state that Elvis frowned upon chip nail polish and patterned dresses, and he insisted that Priscilla would look better with long hair and that she needed to apply more makeup around the eyes to make them stand out, as her eyes were too plain naturally, and that he liked a lot of makeup as it defined her features. Elvis would also go on to teach her how to walk, how to dress, how to apply makeup, wear her hair, how to behave, and how to return his love in his way. Number 4, strict mother. Before Lisa Marie Presley passed away, she would admit that as a parent, her father, Elvis Presley, was a lot of fun. However, she's also spoken out about the worries concerning her famous father. Mainly that as a child, she felt like she needed to protect him and keep him safe. Priscilla Presley previously has also admitted that when it came to parenting, Lisa Marie, she was often put in the role of being the one who had to set the rules. While Priscilla sat down with an interview with The Guardian, she would say, "I was the disciplinarian, and there were times Lisa didn't like it, but you can't live life without boundaries. I was very subtle and very calm, and she knows this now." Priscilla would also add in the interview that Lisa Marie was only 4 years old when her parents divorced, so she would have to work hard to ensure that her daughter understood that everyone could still get along. Number 3, the affair. It's clear that Elvis and Priscilla's marriage wasn't all glitter and gold. While it's said that Elvis had multiple affairs that put a major strain on his relationship with Priscilla behind the scenes, Priscilla also had an affair when she was still married to Elvis. While the age difference and controlling nature of their relationship took a toll on Priscilla, ultimately she decided that she needed an outlet, as there were times she didn't even feel like she was a person because Elvis was always the concerned person, as he came first and no one cared about her feelings, or what she was going through. Ultimately, Priscilla eventually started to seek out the company of another man during her 10-year marriage. In the book Elvis and Me, Priscilla would allege that her ex-husband had affairs during their marriage. Despite that, Elvis reportedly became incredibly angry when he discovered that Priscilla had an affair of her own. She would also go on to say that she was dating fitness instructor Mike Stone when she was still married to Elvis, and added that her husband had a big reaction when he found out. It would later be revealed that Elvis was so angry he even tried to get his entourage to hire a hitman to get Mike. Number 2, stole custody of Lisa Marie Presley's kids. Priscilla Presley's daughter Lisa Marie Presley was a mom to 4 children: Benjamin, Riley, and twins Finley and Harper. When Lisa Marie ended up locked in an incredibly difficult custody battle with her ex-husband Michael Lockwood for quite some time, they said that Priscilla even had custody of Lisa's twins Finley and Harper as the custody battle dragged on. In 2017, Priscilla would reveal on ABC News that the twins had been living with her for some time, and she would go on to say it's still very family-oriented environment for them. It's been over 9 months. They're great. They're doing wonderful. They're living a great life. They see both parents, and we'll see what happens. At the time, the California Department of Children and Family Services was involved in the care of the twins, and the move came after Lisa Marie filed claims of sexual misconduct against Michael Lockwood. And coming in number 1 today, we have saved Elvis's fortune. Just after Elvis Presley unexpectedly passed away in 1977, his net worth was a surprising $5 million, which is much lower than most people would expect and much lower than what he earned in his lifetime. With his estate being left to his daughter, grandmother, and father after the passing of Elvis's father and grandmother, Lisa Marie Presley was left as the sole beneficiary of Elvis's estate. Priscilla then served as the executor of Elvis's estate until Lisa Marie's 25th birthday. During this time, she devised a plan to rebuild the late singer's fortune, giving her daughter an extremely comfortable lifestyle and future. While some pressed Priscilla to sell Graceland for liquidation purposes, she opted to turn the home into a tourist attraction with the help of Jack Soden. She also worked to buy the surrounding properties around Graceland, making sure they became stores that sold Elvis's merchandise and eventually rebuilt Elvis's estate into a massive fortune. At number 10, we have her mother had custody of her kids. Back in 2017, Priscilla Presley would confirm that she was caring for Lisa Marie's young children as her kid's father faced explosive allegations after Lisa Marie accused him of sexual misconduct. At the time, Lisa had been going through a very difficult divorce battle, and in the divorce papers filed, Lisa would claim that her twins' dad, Michael Lockwood, was at the subject of a criminal investigation surrounding the fact that she had found inappropriate videos and photographs of younger people on his computer. And while many people were quick to assume that Lisa's children were in foster care, Priscilla would clear up the rumors when she headed to her Facebook to say there's lots of confusion, commotion, and concern from all the talk circulating. Let me put this to rest. The girls have not been in foster care and never will be. The girls have been with me, and they will be until this is all sorted out. While it's unclear why the children were not in the custody of Lisa Marie or Michael Lockwood, authorities would also choose not to open up about the official case involving Michael that had Lisa Marie feeling shocked and horrified after she discovered the photos and videos on his computer. Number 9, bankrupt. By 2004, Lisa Marie Presley would sell off 85% of her interest in the Elvis estate for around $100 million, and it would be the biggest mistake of her life. According to court documents, Lisa Marie declared that she had an income that was around $109,000 a month, and her monthly expenses were around $92,000, which left a narrow margin, especially considering that since the fall of 2019, she had to pay just $750,000 in attorney fees. At the time of the court filing, Lisa Marie had over $3.3 million in major outstanding debt. The biggest debt by far was a line of credit from Barclays Bank UK for more than $1 million. The rest of the stated debt was dominated by unpaid state federal taxes for years 2017, 2018, and 2021. There were also a few similar things like a Maserati monthly car payment of $1,708. Some of the tax debt was being paid off on monthly basis, and there was also $280,000 owed to a ghostwriter that was being used for her upcoming tell-all memoir. Priscilla has also stated at one point in Lisa's life she was in debt for $16 million following a disastrous business deal made by her business manager, Barry Siegel. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Number 8, scared. Just days before her passing, Lisa Marie Presley would say that she blamed herself every single day for the passing of her son Benjamin. In an essay written by Lisa, she would write about how painful it was to be judged when a loved one passes in a premature, unnatural, or tragic way, especially if that loved one is your child. The essay was originally published in People in August 2022, and she would say, "I already battle with and beat myself up tirelessly and chronically, blaming myself every single day, and that's hard enough to now live with, but other others will judge and blame you too, even secretly or behind your back, which is even more cruel and painful. On top of everything else, later the singer would describe her son as the sweetest and most incredible being that she has ever had the privilege of knowing, and that she said that he reminds her so much of her father Elvis on so many levels, and that it actually scared her. Number 7. Axl Rose. Recently, Axl Rose has revealed that he has a secret friendship with Lisa Marie Presley as he opened up about her tragic passing. In an interview with People, the Guns N' Roses singer described her passing as unreal and recalled sending her animal videos to lift her spirits following Benjamin's passing. Axl would also go on to say, "I miss my friend Lisa. Her passing, just as her son's or as a kid, her father, doesn't seem real. Lisa loved her family, all her children. My heart goes out to them." When Axl went on to describe his efforts and support of Lisa following Ben's passing, Axl would recall awkwardly broaching the issue of his passing in order to show her that he cared, and he wanted her to know that he cared and wanted to comfort her. For years it's been said that Axl and Lisa had a really tight friendship and that they were known to swap jokes, news articles, and lots of animal videos as a way of raising Lisa's spirits. After the passing of her son, all he wanted was her to be happy, at least as much as one could be under the circumstances. Axl and Lisa became friends when Axl would hang out with Elvis backstage and Lisa would come to the shows, and Axl would also know it was also great to see her as she was always fun and supportive. Number 6. Michael Jackson. Just 3 weeks after her first divorce was finalized in 1994, Lisa would find herself getting married to pop icon Michael Jackson following his proposal over the phone. The pair soon then went to the Dominican Republic, where she filed for a quick divorce from her husband and then wed Michael in private. She would then later publicly announce her wedding by saying, "My married name is Miss Lisa Marie Presley Jackson. My marriage to Michael Jackson took place in a private ceremony outside of the United States weeks ago, but their marriage was rocked by the emerging allegations of accusations of abuse held against Jackson that surrounded younger people." The singer then reportedly became so dependent on Lisa Marie for emotional support while she became concerned about his use of sedative substances. Lisa Marie later said in an interview with Rolling Stone that she had hoped to have saved the trouble singer, with the marriage being dogged by theories that the pair had an asexual relationship, leading to Lisa Marie appearing in a suggestive video for his hit in 1995, "You Are Not Alone." The pair would then later get a divorce in 1996, and Lisa Marie is said to never stop loving him. Number 5. Substance abuse. In Lisa Marie Presley's book, I'm Grateful to Be Alive, she opened up about her substance addiction. In the book, she would state it was a difficult path to overcome her dependence to substances and put her life back on track. She would also say in recent years that she has seen too many people she loves struggle with addiction and pass away tragically from this epidemic. She would also go on to note that it was time for all of us to say goodbye to the shame surrounding addiction, and that we had to stop blaming and judging ourselves and the people around us. In the book, Lisa would specifically mention her children as the purpose to stay sober when she wrote, "As I write this, I think of my 4 children who gave me purpose to heal." And later she would state she was so grateful to be alive and that she had 4 beautiful children who had given her a sense of purpose, and that gave her the strength to carry her through her darkest times. Number 4. Finding joy. Lisa Marie was a singer just like her father, and during her time she graced us with 3 beautiful albums. She also looked to her children for joy and told Healthy Living in 2014 that she was ferociously protective over her children by saying, "I smother them in love. They are my priority. That's what I do. That's what I care about. I keep them close to me and make sure they are happy and healthy." And while Lisa Marie's children truly felt inspired by their mom because she was a very strong, smart woman who raised them to do things on their own and not care what people thought, behind her tough shell the star was breaking and searching for something to help her feel whole again. What Lisa wanted to feel the most was joy, and she spent her whole life trying to shed away from the dark and into the light where she could finally feel happy again, like she did when she was a child before she lost her father. Number 3. Scientology. While people have recently been researching details about her personal life, one of the most recent questions people have had is how Lisa Marie got involved with the Church of Scientology, and her involvement wouldn't be the proudest moment of her life. Lisa Marie was reported to have joined the Church of Scientology shortly after her father's passing in 1977. According to OK Magazine, she was brought to the church by her mother, who found it hard to handle Lisa after she got involved in substances in her youth. Lisa's involvement with the church thus began and lasted for several decades. While earlier in her involvement, she would claim that Scientology saved her life. Later on, in the cult-like religion, she would take a clean break as she claimed it had taken advantage of her and wanted everything she had when she mentioned, "I slowly started to self-destruct. They were taking my soul, my money, my everything." Unlike other former Scientologists, she did not reveal too much about the reason that led her to her decision to leave the church. However, there have been some reports regarding her involvement, and she isn't so proud of them. Number 2. Dark kid. At the age of 9, Lisa Marie would lose her father, and she would continue to endure a string of passings soon after. When in a 2-year period, the Lights Out singer also lost her grandfather as well as her great-grandfather and aunts. In 2003, she would tell Newsweek magazine, "I didn't have much of a runway in life. I was like a deep, dark kid who was always melancholy." Lisa Marie also struggled during her teen years when she started to rebel against her mother, Priscilla Presley. While the star claims that she was in a destruction mode, she would then admit in an interview with Playboy that same year that she did anything her mom didn't want her to do, from smoking, drinking, substances, boys, whatever she could get her hands on. And that she went through a substance phase for like 3 years, and it would cause her to be thrown out of her house by her mom, and she would be forced to stay at the Scientology Center. And coming in number 1 today, we have the grueling legal battle. Like any mother, no one wants their children to know the grueling details about the failed relationship she has with their father. With Lisa Marie and Michael Lockwood being officially divorced since May of 2021, they had a grueling legal battle. And a lot of her problems she had with Michael, she would keep a secret for her children's sake. The former couple made the decision to part ways in 2016 following 10 years of marriage, but they have been in and out of court for years, arguing over everything from custody of their teenage twin daughters to money matters. 5 months after the pair finalized their divorce, Lockwood would take Elvis Presley's daughter to court yet again in October of 2021, petitioning for higher child support payments, claiming that he had no steady income at the time. The mother of 4 fought back, saying she couldn't afford it because she was in debt. But Michael alleged that she was still pulling over $200,000 from her rock legend dad's estate, and the judge would rule that Lisa Marie would have to cop up $4,600 per month. In March of 2022, Michael would then demand her financial records be made public after his estranged ex refused to share details of her book contract, following reports that she was promised at least $3 million to write a memoir on her father as well as her relationship with Michael Jackson. That same month, the musician would also question to know how much money the mother of his children would be pulling from the Elvis biopic. It's clear that Michael was really interested on leeching Lisa Marie's money and would become really aggressive to get more money, and it's clear that he felt he should know all about her income so he could dictate how much of it she should be giving him, and this was a secret she kept so she wouldn't hurt her children because she didn't want them to know that their father was a gold digger.